Okay, welcome back, everybody. Good to see people coming back into the room. Welcome, welcome. There we go. Okay, full house. So you'll see that Hazel's transformed into I'm back on my stool. So apologies if you have to adjust your camera to be able to see me properly. Hopefully you've had some insightful conversations and some questions perhaps have been raised. What we thought we'd do in the interest of time is perhaps leave any questions and things you may have towards the end of the session, and then we can re-pick up on those there. Because what I want to do is just start to get into the world of performance management, and in particular the technology and the tools that have developed over the last couple of years. Now, much like what we discussed earlier in terms of recruitment tools, this is an area of technology that is evolving very, very rapidly. If you think back to the simple formal yearly appraisals that perhaps we've all endured in the past, those are seem to be long gone. Today's employee-driven tools are much more at the forefront, and we now need to think about how we can assess employee performance in real time. We don't wait until the end of the year. We don't allow us to do different kind of things. We now think about real-time performance data and how that helps our businesses perform. And technology has allowed for a myriad of different platforms, tools, possibilities, and options. Yet along the way, increasingly, we seem to have got rather confused with all the different options we have available to us. If you think about the choice potentially now that we have to make, we could cobble together perhaps a number of different systems. We can invest wholeheartedly and single-mindedly into one platform, or perhaps potentially we could just ignore it all and hope it all just goes away. And as tempting as that may be, that's probably not going to happen in real life. So we have to start thinking about a number of different questions that we have to focus on in order to ensure we find the right performance management tool for our businesses. So we need to be thinking about how complicated is the system? What kind of things do we want to measure? Do we need to formalize feedback? Do we need to promote development planning? How does salary and incentives start to fit in? What's the role of social recognition? There's a whole world of different questions and things that we have to start asking ourselves in order to be able to choose a platform that works best for us. Now, all of these different platforms and tools that you have and things that you're working with are starting to merge together. And performance management for us is not about a complex system of different processes. It's about making things easy and simple. And in order to do that, you have to define what that means within your organization. Now, Burson describes this sort of coming together as the era of convergence. And many of those different ideas in relation to performance management, check-ins, development pieces, coaching, training, talent marketplace reviews, all of these things are now starting to come together into one place. And what that means is that any performance management tool you use has to be simple, it has to be highly connected, and most importantly, it has to align to your corporate culture. I'm going to share another slide with you here. You can see that we have a number of different things, a number of different platforms, a number of different pieces of software that work within this field of performance management. We've got tools that allow us to look at social recognition. We've got tools that allow us to monitor rewards and perks, the continuous micro-learning platforms like Exonify, assessment platforms like Podium, systems that allow us to integrate better as a team. All of these different things now exist from multiple different vendors, all doing a variety of different things. Some focus on management-led processes, some focus on HR-led processes, and some focus on reward and recognition. Now, the trick is we have to be able to think about how we can integrate all of these in one go. Now, another interesting thing for us in the report was this area of change. And it was highlighted, there's some key things that have happened in the last couple of years. Major indicators of change have now become continuous. They don't tend to happen once a year, they happen all the way through. Manager-centric has become team-centric. Hierarchical decisions have become multi-directional, and competitive has switched to developmental. Subjective is now data-driven to the benefit of everyone, and secret has now become transparent. Finally, the single rating has become the richer rating. Now, for us, this is great news, but it all means that we have to be able to harvest and utilize that data and that technology available to us efficiently. I think what was interesting in the report is that the overriding recommendation is to do your homework first. Find out from your senior leadership team, from your management, from people within your organization, what you want your end game to be. What's the philosophy you take on performance management? What's the status quo? How frequently do you want your people to check in perhaps with their line managers? How does this fit and align with your culture, with your employee expectation, and with all the things that you've set yourself in terms of goals and strategic aims as an organization? How important is development, coaching, training, and ongoing recognition going to be in order for you to be able to achieve your end game? Now, this won't be a simple process, and we know it's probably going to involve multitude of different conversations with huge amounts of different stakeholders and time invested in the process. But if you do, Burson suggests that you can get to a point of understanding where you need to get to. Now, a real life example of this, a hotel brand here that I'm sure you'll be very familiar with, ultra competitive world of hospitality. So Burson actually interviewed Taj's chief human resource officer, and the insights they shared suggested that they had changed their performance process recently, and they'd switched from focusing on individual success and individual employees, and they'd got rid of one-to-ones and all that kind of stuff, and instead focused on team performance. Everyone within the organization is now evaluated on the success of the property in which they work. Now, they predicted that this would cause a behavioral change. What actually happened was a staggeringly high return in terms of alignment, an increase in staff motivation and morale. Everyone working for the good of that property led to a huge increase in engagement. It led to people feeling more committed, more pride, more focus to the organization, and it allowed for the creation of a much better working culture. Imagine a hospitality, or a hotel rather, where if you see a spill on the floor or a broken light bulb, you take the responsibility for owning it and fixing it rather than delegating it. And that's what we need to try to get to in terms of performance management. It's about motivating employees and creating this benefit for all. Now, I want to leave you with one final point. And for me, this was the most interesting point of that particular aspect of the report, is that although these tools can't act as a standalone, their very reason for existence is to improve human behavior performance. There is no clear recommendation in terms of what we should be doing. Now, that may fill some of us with a sense of relief. We're doing something right, at least. We're not getting something wrong. We haven't invested in the wrong tool or the wrong platform. I think more importantly, it means that we've got to be very much on top of this. And we need to be staying focused and thinking about all the different aspects we have available to us and revisiting those on a regular basis. Perhaps almost treat this as a 2-year investment, with the knowledge going in that you are going to have to repeat this process frequently as platforms change, as technology changes, and development within this space evolve.